Taking its name from Automitrailleuse légère, meaning light armored vehicle, the AML is one of the most legendary armored cars ever produced. The 90mm gun model of the vehicle has repeatedly proven to be a successful tank destroyer with a high effect against first and second generation tanks and light armored vehicles. Now, we are investigating the AML, the simple but fearsome war machine of France. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel before we start, and give us a thumbs up if you like our video. To be notified of our new video, please click the bell button. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel. The AML is a true legend with its high performance in low-intensity wars, particularly in Africa. Although it is now 60 years old, the vehicle still plays important roles in many conflicts. To better understand this legendary vehicle, let's take a look at the pages of history. After the Second World War, the peace was still far away for France. It was facing the colonial independence movements. Of course, Paris, like other capitals of the free world, was concerned about the Soviet threat. But outside the control zone in Berlin, there was no area where France directly faced the Red Army. The primary security problem for the French government was keeping the colonies under control in the 1950s. France began to reorganize its army with this threat perception and procure the armored cars. These vehicles were more useful in counterinsurgency operations. Such missions required neither heavy armor nor large guns. Since quick response capability was essential, it was natural to prefer the armored cars over the relatively slow tracked vehicles. The running costs of the wheeled armored vehicles were considerably low compared to the tanks. Also, any regular mechanic could maintain and repair the armored cars, which were based on passenger cars. Finding spare parts was naturally easy too. The reason why the French military staff gave such importance to the wheeled vehicles was not only counterinsurgency operations. They could perform other important tasks. During the Second World War, the German Puma and the US M8 Greyhound had proved themselves for anti-armor missions. So, an armored car equipped with a medium caliber gun could be highly effective in a possible Third World War. At first, France had procured a large number of armored cars from the US surplus as an interim solution. Later, it began to develop domestic vehicles. The first fruit of this work was the EBR. It was highly advanced but also extremely complex. This 8x8 vehicle was offering good cross-country mobility. On the road, two central axes were being raised to go faster like a 4x4 vehicle. It had two drivers. One was looking to the front, while the other was facing the rear, so the vehicle could go forward or back at the same speed without turning. To reduce the silhouette, the engine was fitted under the floor horizontally. So, to reach the engine for maintenance or repair, the turret had to be dismantled. But the French army needed a simpler vehicle for its colonial operations. So, France purchased some Ferret armored cars from the UK to use in Algeria. However, this vehicle only had a machine gun. The French army required a new armored car. In 1956, the French Panhard company began the development of the AML to answer this requirement. Many parts of the new vehicle came from the EBR to reduce development time and costs. The first prototype was introduced in 1959. 2 years later, the French army began to handle the AML. Different from the EBR, the AML had one driver at the front of the hull. The vehicle featured the 4x4 configuration rather than 8x8. Its V-shaped hull provided higher protection against landmines than the other armored cars of that time. The AML gained huge export success and was preferred by over 40 countries. Things have not been all beer and skittles for many African countries that have declared their independence from the colonial empires. They faced internal turmoil and armed conflicts with their neighbors. The largest weapons supplier of these new countries, or the guerrilla groups trying to take control, was the USSR. But finding the weapon was not the main problem. Because they were under the colonial rule for many years, the new nations of Africa did not have sufficient educational and technical skills. they could not use and maintain modern weapons effectively. Therefore, previous generation weapons or even the Second World War vintage equipment were more preferable in this continent. Yet, it was not economically feasible to have a large number of these systems in the sub-Saharan Africa. Therefore, there were not enough armored vehicles and tanks to create an iron fist in the continent. This situation played an important role in the African countries with close relations to the West, especially France, in choosing the low-cost and easy-to-operate AML. Also, this vehicle had good cross-country mobility across the flat African terrain. Especially the AML-90 variant, equipped with the Lynx turret, had passive night vision, laser rangefinder, and automatic target tracking capability. These features made the vehicle highly deadly against the old-generation Soviet tanks. The three-person crew of the AML-90 consists of the commander, driver, and gunner. The vehicle has a full length of 5.11 meters, a hull length of 3.79 meters, a width of 1.97 meters, and a height of 2.07 meters. Its combat weight is 5.5 tons. The original production version of the AML-90 has a 90 horsepower Panhard Model 4 HD petrol engine. Its road speed is 90 km per hour. The range is 600 km. The vehicle can negotiate 0.3 meter vertical steps, 0.8 meter trenches, and can fort to a depth of 1.1 meters. The AML-90 has a 90 mm gun and a 7.62 mm coaxial machine gun. By using a kit, the vehicle can swim. The commander is also the loader. The standard version of the AML is equipped with a breech-loaded 60mm mortar which could perform both indirect and direct fire. This model, called AML-60, also has sub-variants with a coaxial 7.5, 7.62 or 12.7mm machine gun as well as a 20mm automatic cannon. Ireland had re-equipped some of its AML-60 and AML-90 with a 20mm gun or 12.7mm machine gun, as well as a Peugeot diesel engine. The variant with the 20mm G12 gun was renamed as AML-20. The AML-127 had a 12.7mm M2. All of them was retired. The AML S530, chosen only by Venezuela, was a self-propelled anti-aircraft gun variant. The AML gained a 90mm main gun later. This gun would make the vehicle a legend. Although it was a successful vehicle, the AML was not enough to win the wars fought in France's colonies. Still, the adventures of the French AML was just beginning. Due to its suitable size and weight for the C-160 and Noir Atlas, the AMLs were assigned to the French Foreign Legion's Rapid Deployment Force. Thus, they became the first vehicles that were sent for various small conflicts in Africa. After the Algerian War of Independence, the French AMLs faced a major battle in Chad in the late 1970s. Initially, the enemy was the relatively weak, Libyan-backed National Liberation Front of Chad. The AML could easily deal with the light armored vehicles of this group. Yet, after a while, Libya directly involved in the war with its large tank units. The T-55, whose front armor was resistant to 90mm ammunition, was a serious opponent. But the French began to use the speed advantage of the AML and attacked the side and the rear of the Libyan tanks. The result was highly successful. During the conflict, the main enemy of the AML was the RPG-7, not the T-55s. Yet, in the 1980s, the French replaced the AMLs in Chad with the AMX-10RCs. However, Chad continued to use these vehicles effectively against Libya. During the Toyota War, the Chadian Toyota pickups were supported by the AMLs, which could perform operations at the same speed as themselves. The AML's performance in Africa was not without problems. Especially Portugal, which fought in Angola and Mozambique, complained of frequent motor failures due to the corrosive tropical climate. The problem was solved by the installation of custom-made Volkswagen air intakes. South Africa produced the AML under license with the name of Elan. The South African Defense Forces used this vehicle in Southwest Africa and Angola for the long-range raids. Yet, due to its high fuel consumption, the Elan could not follow the Rattles in these raids. Also, the 90mm gun was inadequate against the T-55s. However, the South Africans managed to use the Elans effectively thanks to their successful tactics and well-trained soldiers. The Cuban generals in Angola had to admit that they couldn't come up with an effective solution against the superior maneuverable Elans, which they considered as one of their most challenging rivals. But this was only partially true. When the weather was hot, the vehicle had good cross-country mobility on dry ground. However, when the rain started, the 4x4 Elan, which had high ground pressure, had a hard time in the mud. There were also other important complaints about the vehicle. Its petrol engine could cause fire when the vehicle hit the landmines. During the 1967 Six-Day War, the Israeli AMLs played a key role in capturing Ramallah and East Jerusalem and managed to destroy at least 13 Egyptian and Jordanian tanks. However, the Arabs also knocked out several of them. Survivability was crucial for small populated Israel. So, the Israeli Defense Forces retired its AMLs shortly after the war. During the Civil War, Lebanese AMLs were not used effectively due to staff shortages. But on one occasion, 3 of them, supported by other vehicles, repelled all assaults of the Lebanese Arab army, which was predominantly Muslim splinter faction. Then they advanced and managed to take control of the entire district. The AML was the only Argentine armored vehicle on the island when the British Army arrived during the 1982 Falklands War. They engaged the British scimitars and scorpions. Nevertheless, none of them managed to knock out each other. When the war was lost, the Argentinian crew abandoned their AMLs. Of course, the AMLs were used in numerous conflicts that took place in the other parts of the world. They are still fighting in Africa and the Middle East. The AML has proven itself again and again when used for the right task, in the right place, and by the right hands. Its users have already begun to give up on this obsolete vehicle. However, the AML is still an indispensable legend for military history enthusiasts. Thanks for watching our video. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up if you liked our video. To be notified of our new videos, please click the bell button. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel.